The story of Trooper is, I imagine, one of the biggest ones you've ever been involved with, would you say?
Definitely.
Let's take us back to the early stages, because you have a first-hand account of Trooper in the very beginning.
Yes.
Take us back to when this happened. This was November of this was around Thanksgiving.
Yes, it was the day before Thanksgiving of November 2012. And I was driving my territory, going through my normal day-to-day, and received a call from our dispatcher saying that police department got a call from a woman that there was a puppy being drugged down Highway 55.
Is this like an ER situation?
Anytime we have a trauma, but especially with Trooper because his was so extensive, his injuries, we contact our veterinary medical center and our exam rooms in the shelter and prepare them for what we're bringing. Once I got there, it was immediate. The veterinarian was at the exam table along with 2 veterinary technicians, and they had supplies ready to start treatment.
He was in awful condition. I mean, he was physically badly injured and of course was in shock. And it was very questionable at that point whether the injuries would be treatable. But he was taken to our Maryland Heights facility, and Dr. Wright and Dr. Shivelbein were the 2 veterinarians who provided that immediate care. And quite frankly, a big part of that immediate care was controlling his discomfort. He was in agonizing pain, which fortunately we were able to control.
When you first saw him, did you think he would make it?
Well, you know, you never can underestimate the will to live that we find in some animals. I certainly wasn't sure, and as is always the case at the Humane Society, it takes a team effort. And the team was really going to give him every opportunity to show us just what he was capable of doing, and he certainly did that quite well by pulling through.
Would you say he had the spirit?
Absolutely. I mean, he's well named. Trooper is named because he was a trooper and is a trooper, and yes, that had a lot to do with it.
The first thing we did was canvass the area. I took another investigator and myself, and we went door to door from the starting point of where this person lived and canvassed the entire neighborhood, talked to all the neighbors, tried to figure out any information as to whose dog it may be, if anybody recognized the dog. But the real break in the case came when we were in the back of the apartment building where the person that was driving lived, and I looked up and I saw the cameras.
Were you making much headway just talking to neighbors? Have you seen this? Have you heard anything? Did they?
None of the neighbors were able to provide us with any information, so we were really hitting a brick wall up until the time that we were able to locate the surveillance video.
What did that surveillance video show?
It showed a vehicle pulling up in the alley approximately 11 or so at night. A person got out of the back seat of the 4-door vehicle, walked a dog up to the truck, and then tied it around the back trailer hitch of the truck. Then got back in the vehicle and left. As they left, the dog came out on a lead's length away from the back part of the truck and was just looking at him as they drove away. Oh. They came back a second time, and the dog again came out from underneath the truck, looked at him, they stopped, and then they kept going. It was heartbreaking because we knew what was going to happen to the dog. It's like reading the end of a book before you read the first part. You know what's going to happen. You just didn't know how it happened. But just knowing that every time that car came by, he came out looking at the car, wanting to go back into the car. And then when the driver comes out in the morning, walks around the truck, you're just wanting the dog to come out. Trooper, wake up, go out from behind the vehicle, show yourself. I almost wanted to climb through the screen and just drag the leash out. Say, come here, buddy, let's go. Just to save him from that. But you couldn't. And it's unfortunate that it has to happen to an innocent animal. He didn't do anything to deserve that. All he was doing was being a dog. And that was his only crime. And for that, he's dragged at 55 miles an hour down a highway for over a mile. Our break came when the person that owned the truck and trailer saw the video, said, I know whose car that is. It was his ex-wife, and he recognized a person taking the animal to the back of his truck, tying the dog up to the back bumper and getting back in the car. I said, "Are you sure that this is her vehicle?" "I'm positive." So by the end of the night, I had a picture of the vehicle, had the license plate number, and by the time Friday night came around, we had all the information that we needed. Monday morning, we presented it all to the police department.
Well, when I first met him, he was pretty much just a puppy laying in a cage, but you could see a little bit of spirit. I mean, he was completely bandaged from head to toe, but anytime you went to say hi to him, you'd see that little tail just start wagging, and he just wanted to be nice to people.
And because of his physical condition, there were limitations, but you guys were able to make it possible for him to be as normal of a dog as you could be.
Sure.
What did you do?
Well, we played with him. He is enamored with every single toy that's ever been made. He loves everything, especially, fluffy toys he could tear apart. He loved chasing the ball. We taught him fetch. We would just let him kind of expend some of that puppy energy. He was just so smart. You could see from early on. You could teach him anything, especially if you had, a toy or even a little bit of string cheese.
Is that pretty? String cheese, right?
Yes.
So he's a big fan of.
Oh yeah, he's a cheese lover, and really any kind of cheese, but string cheese is really easy because you can take it off in little pieces and really train him. He can literally learn tricks in 5 minutes, given positive reinforcement and something to work for, like a piece of cheese.
Would you say he was your office dog?
He was my work dog. I have my 2 dogs at home, and he was my dog when I came to work. Every day I would come in and I would go get him, and we'd go for a nice walk, and then he would come up into my office and we'd play a little bit. His favorite game was hallway fetch.
What was the biggest challenge that you had when he was in your care?
I think people, after he was healed, everybody still wanted to almost treat him like a victim, and he capitalized on that. He could really weasel anything out of anybody with his charm, and everybody would say, "Oh, well, it's okay. He can have my donut. It's Trooper." And I would say, "No, no, no. He needs to learn his manners just like any other dog does."
You described Trooper as your work dog, and in many ways, he was your dog for a good part of the day. What was it like, having this dog who you became so close to, and then, you begin the adoption process?
Yeah. When Trooper was adopted out, I was ecstatic. Because I've seen him waiting for that perfect opportunity for his perfect forever home. And I thought I was going to be a mess, being sad, but I realized this is the absolute best thing that could have ever happened to him. And Greg is a wonderful person and spoils Trooper to the ends of the earth. So that made me so much happier. And the fact that I'm able to keep in touch with them really helps out too.
To me, the rescue is not complete until the animal is adopted, because that's that final piece when you know, okay, my job is done, and then I can turn my attention to, the next animal that needs help.
This was a dog who's known around the world, and talk about the demand, what it was like, and just how much interest there was in Trooper.
We had a process set up, people would go online, they'd fill out their application, and then we would start looking at those answers, and we kind of had a multi-stage process. So we would pull out those that we thought whose lifestyle maybe would be best suited to Trooper and his ongoing needs, because of course, he's the star. And so we did that, and we narrowed it down, and then we brought people in for face-to-face interviews. And for those people, I think it was like winning the lottery, just getting to that part, because they got to meet Trooper. Mm-hmm. And even if they weren't chosen maybe as his adopter, they're one of a handful of people who can say, I got to play and spend time with Trooper. So that was fun to watch too. And then it came down to, okay, who do we think is going to be the best match? And that it'd be a good match for both parties, so that they really enjoy having Trooper as a companion for the rest of his life. And I think we're so fortunate with the person that we ultimately chose to be his adopter, and just a gentleman whose personal characteristics, kind of easygoing and accepting, but fairly active and having the time and I think the mindset to devote a lot of that time to Trooper and his happiness, and I'm just so thrilled with Greg, the person who is now Trooper's owner, and I see the bond that they're beginning to form, and it's just overwhelming. I think, how lucky are we that he came forward.
And caring for Trooper, this is a dog with some very special needs, and that comes at a cost. And fortunately, I understand the Humane Society is taking on part of that.
We all have a lot emotionally invested in Trooper, and we want to do anything and everything we can to continue the happy ending. It's not an ending at this point, it's a happy continuation, but yes.
So any of his follow-up visits or any issues that might need to be addressed, Humane Society will
absolutely take care of, at no cost to his new owner, absolutely.
I think that puts his owner at peace of mind, and really everyone, all of Trooper's fans and everyone who adores him from across the globe.
Absolutely. I mean, there have been too many issues to worry about up until now. Now we should enjoy it, and by removing the medical issues from the table, yes, that should make life a lot more comfortable for everybody.
When you see him now,
It's amazing. It shows how much we can do for the animals here. He never, nobody thought that he would not only survive, but keep the leg and become as much of a joy as he has brought to everybody who he's touched. He's a big goofy puppy, and if he didn't have the scars, you have no idea that his life started out like this.